I won't lie, finding an apartment in Mexico turned out to be a lot harder than I'd anticipated. After this video, you'll know the true, crazy story of how I found my apartment in Querétaro. Plus, my top 3 tips for apartment hunting so you can find a place to call home in Mexico. For the best advice about moving to Mexico, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I upload a new episode every Thursday. Hi, I'm Alex, and on my blog, Backpacking Brunette, I write all about living in Mexico. I moved to Querétaro in October 2017 and found my apartment in the historic center of the city without any help from a realtor. I know firsthand just how intimidating it can be to apartment hunt in another country, not to mention another language. If you have the means and it makes you feel more comfortable to hire a realtor, then go ahead and do that. You can definitely find an English-speaking realtor in Querétaro or pretty much whatever city you decide to call home in Mexico. Before I dive into the story of how I found my apartment in Querétaro, I should note that unlike more touristy destinations or places where a lot of expats live, the rental market in Querétaro isn't overly accommodating to foreigners, at least not at the moment. You won't find many landlords, if any at all, that are willing to agree to a lease for less than a year, and most landlords will require a fiador. To learn what a fiador is, plus other things I wish I would have known before moving to Mexico, be sure to check out this video next. How I found an apartment in Mexico. When my boyfriend Taylor and I got to Querétaro, we were determined to hit the ground running and pretty much immediately started our apartment search. Here was our wish list. We wanted a place that was centrally located, had 2 separate office spaces, an oven, an outdoor space, and was furnished. Starting off our apartment hunt in Querétaro, I tried to use all the same techniques and strategies that I had used in Madrid, thinking, hey, I had success there, so why not try to repeat it in Mexico? In Madrid, pretty much the whole apartment search process was done online. The websites there were great, were updated frequently, and it was really easy to get in contact with the landlords. That was not the case in Mexico. When the internet turned out to be a bust, we decided to just get out and hit the pavement, to walk around in the center and look for rent signs, se renta. And we were not seeing many. It was super, super disheartening. Then we turned to newspapers. Yes, good old-fashioned newspapers. We bought a daily newspaper from a little kiosk there all over Querétaro, all over Mexico, and just flipped to the classifieds and started circling ads that sounded promising and started using WhatsApp to message these landlords. We finally were able to see our first apartment using this tactic, and even though that apartment didn't turn out to be the one, it really lifted our spirits. We really did try to prioritize seeing furnished apartments, and when we were finally able to see one, it was disappointing to say the least. I was just totally turned off from the get-go, and then when we walked into the bedroom and saw the dirty old mattress, which the landlord suggested we simply flip over, I was like, okay, I think I need to start opening my mind to furnishing an apartment. I'm trying to remember, but I think that first week in Querétaro, Taylor and I saw something like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 apartments. And after one of these unsuccessful showings, we were walking back to our Airbnb and decided to pop in a bar to have a cerveza and just try to lift our spirits. We were thinking that we were going to have to extend our stay in the Airbnb and just weren't sure if we were going to be able to find something in the city center. When he brought our beers, I started talking to the bartender and told him that we were looking for an apartment for a place to rent in Querétaro. And we said that it had been a very difficult process so far, and we were just feeling really bummed out. He said that he totally understood because it took him, get this, a year to find his apartment in the city center. And if only a camera could have caught the look on my face, on Taylor's face when he said that, We were just totally freaked out, thought that we were gonna have to move back to Michigan. Thankfully, the bartender, he was a guy around our age, and he took pity on us. He said that he knew of an apartment in the city center and thought that we might be interested in it. What ended up happening is the bartender, Eduardo, messaged his friend Paulina, and she messaged the landlord. And without even ever having met us, she vouched for us, said that we were her friends, and told the landlord we were interested in seeing the apartment. We set up a showing and the place was absolutely perfect. Yes, it wasn't furnished, but the location, the style of the house, the size, the price, everything made us realize that yes, we absolutely had to jump on this place. We moved in on November 1st, 2017, and have lived there ever since. If you would like to see my apartment in Querétaro, I did a full tour, plus discussed the cost of living expenses, including rent and utility. You can check it out in this video. When it comes to moving abroad, would you rather rent a furnished or unfurnished apartment? Let me know in the comments. So now that you know the random story of how I found my apartment in Querétaro, here are 3 of my best tips for apartment hunting in Mexico. Tip number 1, use whatever Spanish you have to talk to anyone and everyone. From the moment that you arrive in your new city, get into the habit of telling everybody that you are looking for an apartment to rent. Your Airbnb host, taxi drivers, that guy at the market, bartenders, you never know who is going to be the person to put you in contact with your future landlord. It's not unusual for landlords in Mexico to forego posting for rent signs on the street in favor of finding their future renter through a mutual connection. Tip number 2, rent an Airbnb in a central location. Forget about trying to find a place before you actually get to Mexico. I receive lots of messages, lots of emails from readers and followers wondering if they can set up a rental before they're actually in Mexico, so it's right there ready when they arrive. But I always tell people that you really need to be there on the ground, actually seeing these places, actually talking to the landlords before you sign a lease. Renting an Airbnb in a central location in the city center or in a neighborhood that you know that you want to live in is really great for making that your base for apartment hunting. Tip number 3, don't be afraid to go unfurnished. I thought that furnishing an apartment was going to be completely overwhelming and hugely expensive, but in the end, neither was true. Thanks to Amazon Mexico, Walmart, the Mercado, and secondhand stores, it's actually really affordable. It's really possible to furnish a place without blowing your budget in Mexico. For even more apartment hunting advice, head to the description and click on the link to download the Move to Mexico Quick Start Guide. This completely free resource has 5 more tips for apartment hunting in Mexico, plus a super handy renting in Spanish cheat sheet with the exact phrases that you can WhatsApp to a landlord when you're inquiring about a place. If you have any questions about apartment hunting in Mexico, go ahead and leave those in the comments. I will be sure to answer them. I'm Alex from backpackingbrunette.com. Thanks for watching. Watch these videos next for even more advice about moving to Mexico. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with someone who dreams of moving to Mexico.